Poop pollution, what a name it is. Frantically, we're living in a world where no one is capable of managing our own sewage. There are several factors that make sustainable sewage management extremely troublesome, notably the water pollution resulting from improper management. As the number of illegal dumping of raw sewage cases increases, local towns suffer lasting environmental damages such as water pollution resulting from high-level pollutants, including bacteria, viruses, and chemicals, contaminating water sources such as rivers, lakes, and oceans. Report from a Southern Water shows that 17 southern water sites in the state are undergoing investigations into illegal dumping of raw sewage, thus worsening the water pollution and lead to the spread of diseases such as but not limited to cholera, typhoid fever, hepatitis, and disruption of natural balance of ecosystems. Speaking of ecosystems, in aquatic ecosystems, inadequate sewage treatment is also a major factor of eutrophication, a process that leads to an excessive growth of algae and other aquatic plants, depleting oxygen levels in the water and thus causing pollution. Elvester research about evidence of sewage-driven eutrophication shows that sewage contains high level of nutrients such as nitrogen and phosphorus, which is a primary factor of eutrophication when discharged into water bodies. According to Eutrophication Factbook from NOAA, 65% of the eutrophies and coastal waters in the contiguous U.S. are moderately to severely degraded by excessive nutrient inputs. Socially, with an increasing urbanization and challenging lifestyles, the excessive amounts of wastewater threatens the existing of freshwater bodies. As a result of inadequate infrastructure of sewage wastewater treatment, the majority are discharged into the environment without any form of treatment, thus harming the ecosystem and the humans who try to reuse the wastewater and cycle. It's shocking for me to learn that over half of the world's patients are occupied by people suffering from diseases caused by contaminated water, and more people die as a result of polluted water than are killed by all forms of war. According to a WHO health report, an estimated 1.8 million children under age of 5 died just due to water-related disease in a single year. As for previous attempts and current approach, in the past, the humanitarian process has shown some effectiveness in preventing water pollution. In short, the process converts pollutants of human sewage through the use of compost toilet, compost bin covered with wire mesh to keep out vermin, and a cover material. With simple insertion and approachable methods, the humanitarian process has successfully dealt with sewages in small regions, but is yet to be tested in large areas. Facing the practical issue of expanding access of humanitarian process, the sludge industry makes the situation even worse for farmers. While destructive materials like nitrogen and phosphorus are already prevalent in sewage sludge, many companies these days filter out the information about water contamination, which only hurts the innocent farmers and destroys their land. The presence of separate sewage systems does not guarantee a pollution-free disposal of wastewater, since sewage can be disposed of even before it is treated. According to the UN Water Analytical Brief, at least 40% of the sewage treatment plants in India were found not to meet this operational standard expected of such facilities, even with India being known as a highly standardized nation for sewage management. Thus, it seems necessary for every audience to re-evaluate how they as an individual, society, and nation can contribute to proper management of the sewage for less pollution, and start to consider how implementation of alternatives such as humanitarian process can actually be successful.
The major problem with the current sewage system is that it uses a lot of water to treat waste and is pretty expensive in its construction, which makes developing countries unable to afford them for all of their citizens. The current sewage system used in most countries, which is pretty expensive to construct and manage, is run by the public government budget that comes from our taxes. Therefore, the cost of the current sewage system is a strong burden for taxpayers. For example, in India, about 48% of Indians do not have access to proper toilets, and 93% of sewage is directly discarded in lakes, rivers, and ponds across the nation, without proper wastewater treatment. According to Chen's research paper, the World Health Organization's statistics in 2012 indicates that India accounts for 59% of the 1.1 billion world population who practice open defecation. As a result, as most citizens in developing countries like India release their waste directly into lakes, rivers, or ponds, they are exposed to sanitation issues that could cause serious illness like cholera or diarrhea. According to UNICEF, some 2.5 billion people do not have adequate access to toilets, and about 1 billion of them defecate in open areas, such as fields, bushes, or bodies of water. This problem is significant because wasting water could eventually lead to water scarcity and the devastation of the ecosystem. First, the lack of drinking water in the future is a highly important issue because drinking water is essential for humans to sustain life. Also, the pollution of water would damage the ecosystem nearby those bodies of water and could eventually become unable to support life. After researching these facts about the serious pollution and wastewater problems that current sewage systems cause, I was initially shocked. As a citizen living in South Korea, one of the most developed countries in the world, sewage was a necessity that was always provided conveniently for me. However, after the research, I noticed that this problem is directly related to our future, and we must address this problem for our sustainable future. There are various approaches and solutions provided to solve this issue. One previous solution to solve the sewage problem was building wastewater treatment plants. These plants aim to process wastewater from homes and businesses containing nitrogen and phosphorus from human waste to clean water by removing the pollutants. However, this solution had limits since the plants typically released treated water into local water bodies once the water was cleaned to standards set by the state and federal officials. Therefore, the wastewater treatment plants were unable to completely prevent pollutants like nitrogen and phosphorus from polluting bodies of water. Another previous solution to solve the water wasting problem in the sewage system was to reuse wastewater within the building. Some buildings tried to reuse wastewater produced within the building in places like their toilets. These buildings still exist, but this solution is not widespread because the wastewater reuse system is tremendously expensive to construct in the building. Furthermore, in terms of individual households, systems such as dual flush buttons on toilets for different volumes of waste were developed to reduce water usage when flushing toilets. However, the limitation of this solution was that it does not make fundamental changes to the sewage system itself.
Among these various attempts, one of the most feasible solutions is a new type of toilet called incinerating toilet. The incinerating toilet basically looks the same as the ordinary one, but its main difference is that it burns waste into ashes using electricity, propane, natural gas, or diesel. Unlike the conventional toilet, the incinerating toilet has a waste receiver that houses the incinerator. When the waste is flushed, it moves to the waste receiver. After the burning cycle goes on, the product normally produces a teaspoon of ash, which amounts to about a cup of ash per person per week.
Students in this class must seriously acknowledge the sewage problem and promote the use of incinerating toilets in their households. The reason is because students are prone to the idea that toilets and current sewage systems perfectly suit us, but they never try to extend their attention to its negative consequences. The effects of this proposal is by acknowledging the underlying issues of current sewage management and the benefits of using incinerating toilets, students can contribute in revolutionizing the current sewage system to create a sustainable future for the next generation.
As an international school that educates future global leaders, CASJ is responsible for aiding the education of a universal environmental issue that has a significant impact on students' lives and the community. Cooperating with those clubs and conducting a large campaign would increase the community's public attention to the sewage problem and could lead to practical discussions to solve the issue.
The United States federal government should subsidize using its federal budget to assist nationwide implementation of incinerating toilets. The United States has long suffered from rising illegal sewage dumping cases and individual and communal efforts have failed to address this issue. Therefore, the intervention of the federal government will be necessary to address this issue, as the expanded use of incinerating toilets can decrease the illegal dumping of sewage within the nation and could prevent its pollution.
Then what are the advantages of using incinerating toilets instead of our original, comfortable, and clean toilet? The incinerating toilet is pretty revolutionary compared to the conventional sewage system, as it significantly reduces the amount of money spent on our sewage systems. Conventional one-piece toilets, which is the most widely implemented model in our households, cost about $500, while incinerating toilet costs about $4,700 to implement. However, conventional toilets require sewage lines and wastewater treatment plants, and the construction of the sewage and wastewater treatment facilities range from $200,000 to $700,000. Considering this, it is clear that incinerating toilets would be economically beneficial in long term, since they do not require wastewater treatment and sewage facilities to be constructed.
Even so, opponents of using incinerating toilets may question the timing of this proposal. Why must we begin the gradual replacement of the current sewage system with an incinerating toilet now, when everyone is living perfectly fine? Well, the truth is that nothing is fine now. We have the technology, we have the resource. All we need is your support to implement and promote the use of incinerating toilets. We must begin the transition from conventional to incinerating toilets now, or else humanity will long suffer from the current trend of open defecation, thus letting this burden of sewage management pass on to the next generation. Also, some opponents may question the effectiveness of awareness campaigns that target both students and KISJ as a whole. Nonetheless, a journal evaluating the effectiveness of the VERB campaign points out that campaigns on awareness, attitudes, and behaviors related to physical activities serve as an effective tool to evaluate challenges of public health, which in this case would be the sewage management system. Unlike the stereotypical view that awareness campaigns draw ineffective results, this concludes that students must acknowledge the sewage problem and promote the use of incinerating toilets in their households.
It is not as hard as you think. The feasibility of high school students conducting a campaign advocating for the adoption of incinerating toilets is promising. Students are a crucial demographic to engage in environmental campaigns, as they are the future leaders and decision makers who will shape our society's environmental policies and practices. Generation over generation, students of KISJ will be part of the gradual transition from conventional to incinerating toilet systems for a sustainable world. For the United States, resources are already prevalent. There are already several manufacturers and distributors of incinerating toilet in the market, such as Cinderella Eco Group, Sunmar, and Ecolet, giving a huge home ground advantage for the state to promote the use of incinerating toilets.
Now, how should we implement our proposal?
Let's start the quiz.
First, live as it is with the water wasting toilet. Second, poop less. Third, start attentively listening to our proposal. Well, we hope you chose option 3 since that's what we need to build a sustainable community. To do so, we will first announce our proposal to all KISJ students. Then we will bring this proposal to the Executive Board of KISJ after gaining a school-wide petition signature supporting our proposals. There are several environmental clubs like Soda and Jeans. Also, with the AP Environmental Science course newly established next semester, it wouldn't be difficult to conduct our awareness campaigns or public discussions regarding the issue of sewage and wastewater management. Nationwide, the US federal government can begin the process by promoting cooperation ties within the incinerating toilet and sewage management industry.
So go ahead and burn that shit. I mean, into ashes by using incinerating toilet.